Hi, my name is Bill Nelson. I'm the Grand Canyon Council Advancement Chairman, and we're going to have a presentation tonight on the uh, Unit Eagle Scout Advisor or Mentor. And the Eagle Advisor or Mentor is the person in the unit that watches over a scout as he goes from the life rank to border review to Eagle, finishing up his Eagle border review. The terms advisor and mentor are interchangeable. In our presentation, we're going to call the position the advisor, but it goes by a number of different names, and you'll hear it also as a mentor out there. The presentation is a little bit over an hour long, and so let's get started. One of the things we should do is probably go back to the beginning and look at our fundamental mission and aims. The mission and aims of the Boy Scouts of America is not to make Eagle Scouts. Actually, our mission is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes. Basically, to make good young men. That's our job. And we have three aims. I'm not sure if you've seen these aims before. Maybe if you've been to training you have, but there are three aims in the program. Character development, citizenship training, mental and physical fitness. So those aims are set to do the mission, and whatever we do in scouting, and we try to address at least one of the aims, and maybe. Your job as an Eagle advisor is to help the scout get through the Eagle process from the time that he completes his life border review all the way through until he submits his final paperwork and actually sits for an Eagle border review. So your job is to be the subject matter expert on that entire process and on what the requirements are and what it takes to satisfy the requirements. The role of the Eagle Advisor is considered to be a adult mentoring role that is in frequent contact with the scout. Normally you already are known to the scout, and so you attend other unit functions, and you're there to help the scout throughout the entire process. As far as qualifications go to be an advisor, there's really only three. One is that you are registered as an adult in the BSA. It can be for any scouting position. There's no position code for Eagle Advisor or Eagle Mentor. So, but register. You can be a committee member, an assistant scoutmaster, a district member at large. Any adult scouting position will work. So make sure you're registered and that you are current in your youth protection training. You're going to be dealing with the youth, so we want you current in youth protection. That has to be renewed every 2 years, so keep that current. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, you need to be approved by the unit leader. Now, the term unit leader you'll see often used by National Boy Scouts of America. It has a specific definition. A unit leader is either the scoutmaster of a troop or the crew advisor of a crew or the team coach of a team. So only those people, the top of the unit, they're called unit leaders. And to be qualified to be an Eagle Advisor for your troop, you have to be approved by your scoutmaster. What do you need to know? So as an advisor that's just coming on board, what do you need to know to get your job done? Well, obviously you need to know the rank requirements between Life and Eagle. And the rank requirements for Eagle Scout are located in the Boy Scout Handbook, and they're also located online at scouting.org/advancement. Something to be aware of is that rank requirements do change from time to time. So a Boy Scout handbook that's 5 years old may or may not show the current rank requirements. So check online, make sure you understand what the current rank requirements are, and that the scout understands what the current rank requirements are. The other thing you need to know is policies and procedures surrounding the Eagle Scout rank and the Eagle Scout process, becoming an Eagle Scout. This is the highest award in the Boy Scout program, so National takes it very seriously, and there are a number of policies and procedures that surround the award. The Guide to Advancement is the national publication that contains all of the advancement policies and procedures at a national level. The booklet is available online at scouting.org/guide to advancement, and it's also available at the Scout Shop. It's this green booklet here. There are 3 chapters in the Guide to Advancement that are pertinent to your position. One is Section 2, which is a general introduction to how advancement is defined in the Boy Scouts of America. There is Chapter 8, which deals with everything you ever wanted to know about boards of review. And then Section 9 is specific to the Eagle Scout rank. So those are 3 sections that you probably need to read and understand. And we'll give you an email at the end of the presentation. Anything you don't understand, feel free to email that email address, and it'll go to the Council Advancement team. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions you have. The other thing that you need to know is you need to know how the national policies and procedures are implemented inside the state of Arizona at the Grand Canyon Council. And we have a web page on the Eagle Scouts process, and in that web page there is not only the Eagle Scout process and walks you through the entire process from start to finish, but also training guides and more guides there that are resources to you that you can share with the parents and the scout, so everybody is up to speed on how it all works. And then the other thing you need to know is you need to know how the process flows in your district. Who are the people in your district that are your go-to people to understand how paperwork goes in and out of your district. So you need to find out who those people are. If you don't know anyone else to go to your district advancement chair, and they can tell you who to talk to about the whole process inside your district. If you go to the Grand Canyon site that I talked about, grandcanyonbsa.org/Eagle Scouts, this is what the page looks like. And the process for becoming Eagle are these 7 steps. And there is a Read Me First file here, and so the first thing we want you to do is to open this. It's in Microsoft Word, and read it, because if you read this read this first file, you will understand the process. So what I'm going through now, although I will be adding some value to it, but what I'm going through now is in that Read This First document. So 90% of the problems we've encountered at the council level have to do with people not reading the Read This First document. So what is your role as an advisor? Well, we already said that you're kind of the expert. Very often you're the key to success. Scouts need to be motivated. Scouts need to be reminded. Scouts need to know that, hey, they need to start the process as soon as they become a Life Scout. They should be getting their project done in their freshman year of high school, if not sooner, because high school gets very busy after that. These are things you know about because you've experienced it. You've experienced the Scouts going through these processes. So you're going to be the person who's going to remind them. You're going to be the person who will kind of help them through the whole process. So it is true, you are going to be a key to success for the Scout. You serve as advisor, consultant, mentor, nag. You are the person watching over that Scout's advancement. you want to encourage the candidate to complete the requirements. Like I said, kind of nagging. You're also a resource for the scout. You're the person that they're going to go to find out what they need to do and what's out there and where are the forms and all that. Hopefully you can give them some project ideas and refer them to people to contact. And if you can't, you can go to your district and they can give you ideas to pass along to the scout. You also explain to the parents that the candidate has to complete the requirements, not them. Don't get into the situation where at the end the board of review looks at the scout and says, did you really do this project, or did your parents do it? And the scout tells him, well, really my parents did it, and he fails his board of review. This is the same as any other Boy Scout rank. The boy has to do the requirements, nobody else. It's not Cub Scouts, it's Boy Scouts. So he has to do the project. He has to manage the project, not his parents. And that's true for all of the requirements. He has to be the one doing it. Sometimes people, parents, others that are concerned are so concerned about him getting to Eagle that they're willing to jump in and do it for him. And it's just not the way advancement works in Boy Scouts. And you're a positive adult in his life. You're going to be the one helping him through. You're going to be the one using logic and common sense to help him overcome obstacles and hopefully reach a successful outcome and become an Eagle Scout. So what do you need to look out for and what we want you to make sure that you are doing? Well, one thing is adhering to the advancement process and policies. The BSA, again, the BSA Boy Scout policies, rank policies, is all in Chapter 9. So read again Chapter 9 of the Guide to Advancement, and that's going to give you if there's ever a question on policy, that's where you go. You do not have authority to dictate changes in the project or in any of the requirements. You can't withdraw project approval and tell them, well, I don't care that the district approved this project, it's not approved by me. You're not approving the project. Actually, you don't approve much of anything in this process, which is a good thing because you're more of an advocate for the scout rather than an approver or a gatekeeper or anything like that. If it was approved by the district or approved by the committee of your unit, then it was approved, unless you're the person in the committee that has to approve projects. And we'll give you some guidance on how to approve projects too, if you want, in this presentation. Again, you have no authority to change any requirement or council process. As far as requirements are concerned, they're established by the Boy Scouts of America. Nobody but the National Advancement Team can change a requirement, and they change the requirement and they still have to go to the Board of Directors of the Boy Scouts of America to get approval to change any requirement. So the requirements are set in stone. What's written down is what's written down. Now, if there is some guidance that we can do at the council level on Scouts with Disabilities, we have a website on that up at the council advancement pages. So if you have Scouts with Disabilities, go there and look at that. We're not going to go into disabilities here. It would make the presentation too long, but we do have ways to help Scouts with disabilities. And you strive to make your involvement a positive experience for the scout. And you encourage a scout to make the kinds of decisions that will lead to his Eagle, which is the successful outcome for this. Okay, so you're getting to the council website, and remember the council website link. When you get to the council website, it has these 1, 2, 3 to 7 different files, And the very first one is the one we want the scout and you to read. So this is a 3-page document. You need to read it. You need to sit the scout down, and the scout needs to read it too, right at the get-go. Also, there is a Life to Eagle process presentation. It's a YouTube presentation similar to this one, and it's geared towards the scout and the parents. So, and any unit leader that wants to just know what the process is. You're going to be the expert on this whole thing, but this gives them an overview of the process and should answer the scouts' questions and the parents' questions. It would be good to have the scout view that video and the parents view the video, and any unit leader that's in your unit that's interested in this whole Life to Eagle process view the video. So again, you get together with the scout right after the life board review, and then you contact the scout and you start getting him to start thinking about the next steps to Eagle. Now the scout has the choice. You're an optional person in his life. He doesn't have to accept your assistance, but the way I would work it is that you would assume that he would accept it until he tells you no. And the chances of him telling you no is probably slim to none, because no one else is going to help him through this, and it looks very daunting. You're going to really add value here. I can't say it enough. I know scouts that never got to Eagle because no one in their troop knew the process, and no one in their troop reached out to them and said, hey, you're a Life Scout now, time to get Eagle. I'll help you along the trail and we'll get it done. Instead, they just let the scout linger, and he became 18 and he never made it beyond life. So the scouts don't know the process. The scouts are scared of the process very often. You're going to add a lot of value here. At the first meeting that you have with your scout, go over the requirements for being Eagle with him, and look at the merit badges he's already earned and what Eagle badges that he still needs to earn. Remind him that it takes a project about 6 months from start to finish, so to give himself plenty of time to get it done, and suggest to him strongly that he gets his project done during his freshman year of high school. Life gets a lot busier after his freshman year, so it's just easier on everybody if he gets the project done during that time period. Take a look at the positions of responsibility and ask him to go to his scoutmaster or senior patrol leader and get a position, because it takes 6 months in that position to advance. So he needs to get that position responsibility, and he needs to stay active in the unit. Now, before you have your meeting with the scout, talk with the scoutmaster and find out if the unit has a definition for being active in the unit. Here's where you can contribute right from the get-go. If the unit has a definition that says you have to be active in 70% of the activities to be considered active or something like that, this is a time to remind the scout of that, so that it doesn't get to the end of his Eagle requirements and then find out that for some reason he's in violation of that active requirement. So find out if there is a definition in your unit for what being active is, and remind the scout what that is. And then at a very high level, just go over the Life to Eagle process with him and say, hey, this is what it's like, and what you have to do in the future, and I'll help you through it. Well, this is probably a good time to go through the entire process with you from Life to Eagle. So as you know, once he becomes Life, he can start working on the Eagle rank. There are some things that he could do prior to becoming Life, obviously, and that's working on the Eagle badges and the optional badges. And merit badges can be worked anytime from the time that he joins a Boy Scout troop to till he's 18. So he can work badges from the get-go, from the very beginning. We'll go through the required badges. There are 13 of them, and there are 8 optional badges to earn Eagle. So there's a total of 21 badges that the scout needs to earn. And again, he probably has already earned a bunch of badges prior to life, because he needed them for star and life anyway. And so he works on the badges and tries to get those done. Now up on the top line here, we're going to show the process for the project. So to start the project off, he gets the workbook, and he uses the workbook to document the proposal, and works with the beneficiary to identify what they're going to do. And he fills that out, and he gets that approved at the unit level with the committee, and the scoutmaster approves it. And then also he goes to the district, and the district approves that proposal section. Then he works a plan out, and he can use the workbook for planning. There's a planning section. He fills that out. It helps him plan the project. And then he executes the project. He gets it done. And then he writes it up and as a kind of a final report. And the project gets signed off by the beneficiary and the scoutmaster, and it's done. Now there is a district person that we're introducing this year called a district project coach, and he can help you guys through that process, and we'll talk a little bit more later about it's called the District Eagle Project Coach. Okay, while he's doing his project, he can also be working his 6 months in a position of responsibility, and also go out and get recommendations. He's going to need 6 recommendations. His parents are one. A religious leader is one. If he doesn't have a religious leader, then his parents act as that one as well. If he's employed, he has an employer reference, he has a teacher reference, and then he has 2 other adult references, for a total of 6, or 5 if he's not employed. There is a Requirement 7 report that can be filled out at any time. The template is up on the website. We'll talk more about that later. It's real simple. And he has the Scoutmaster Conference. He can actually do the Scoutmaster Conference at any time. He doesn't have to wait till the end. He gets something called an Internet Advancement Report once he completes all of his merit badges. So once the merit badges are done, all 21 of them, then he goes to whoever does advancement for your troop, and that person is putting data into Internet Advancement so that they can go to the scout shop and buy stuff. There is a report in the upper left corner. We'll talk about that more later, but he gets that report from the person who does advancement in your troop, and it's called a member report. He compiles all that stuff, puts it together in his packet, and then completes Eagle Scout Checker, fills out an application, submits it all to district. District schedules a board of review. The scout attends the board of review. He becomes Eagle Scout. So that's the process. It looks daunting, but so does the process for becoming first class. If you look at the first class requirements, there are pages and pages of requirements. Well, that can look very daunting too. This might look a little daunting, but if he approaches it step by step, he gets done, and like many scouts before him, he gets to be Eagle. These are the badges that he needs that are required. There's 13 badges that are required for Eagle, and they're listed here. So he needs camping. He needs all 3 citizenship badges: communications, cooking, environmental science, or sustainability. He can either have one or the other, and it would satisfy for that badge. Family life, first aid, personal management, emergency preparedness, or life-saving, one or the other, cycling or hiking or swimming. Sometimes the question comes up, well, if I did emergency preparedness and life-saving, would that count as 2 Eagle badges? And no, it would not. It would count as 1 Eagle badge and 1 optional badge. So he needs a total of 8 optional badges. So, and those can be any badges of the set of 135 badges. Could be optional. So he needs to know what are the required ones, because he has to get those done. And they're listed in the Boy Scout handbook, they're listed online, and of course they're listed in the application as well. He needs to serve 6 months in what we call a position of responsibility. So when you see a POR, that's what it stands for, position of responsibility. He needs to serve it while he's a Life Scout, so that would be anytime after his board of review for life. He can do more than one position, and as long as the time adds up to 6 months. So he could do a couple of positions and have the time add up to 6 months. Take a note that the positions of responsibility for a troop are different than for a team and for a crew. So there's a senior patrol leader in a troop. A team has a captain, and a crew has a president. So they're actually different positions with different duties in a troop, team, and a crew. So talk to the scout about, well, what are you registered in now? Are you registered as a troop, or in the team, or in the crew? Because dependent upon where he's registered, that's the kind of position of responsibility he needs to do. And then he needs to go find out what that job requirements are, and he needs to get assigned. So a question comes up, well, when can a boy start working on his Eagle project? A boy can start working on his Eagle project and getting an idea for his Eagle project at any time. But he can't do any real planning until he's a Life Scout, and he can't get the project approved until he's a Life Scout. And so after he's a Life Scout, he can get the project approved and he can work on it. He cannot do any work other than planning for his project before it's approved. So it has to be approved at the district level, at the unit level, and at the district level before he can start work on it. And then he can start work on it. And they can't get approved until he's a Life Scout. The most complicated requirement in all of the Eagle requirements, because most of the Eagle requirements you've seen before in Star and Life, there's just earning badges. The project is the big daunting thing that's in Eagle that's not in the other ranks. So always go back to the requirements. And this is the requirement for the project. And we're going to walk you through it, but this is where it all comes from. If there's any question, what do I have to do for my project? Okay, you start here, because this is the requirement. And it's in the Boy Scout handbook, and it's online and other places. Part of the requirement says you must use Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook, BSA publication, in meeting this requirement. Well, that's this thing right here at the left. This is the Eagle Scout Project Workbook. It is available for download at our Eagle Scout page, and it guides the scout throughout the process for doing his project. You need to read this cover to cover. The scout needs to read this cover to cover before he starts filling it out. So don't have the scout just fill it out. He needs to read all of the instructions from the get-go, from day one. And then the issues will disappear, because he's going to understand what he's supposed to do. You read it ahead of time so that you can counsel him on what he's supposed to do for his project. Everything, almost everything, 99% of the stuff that he needs to do for his project is in this workbook. The only thing that's not in this workbook is anything that's peculiar to the district or peculiar to the council. So when you're on our web page, on the Grand Canyon Council Eagle web page, there is a list of 7 items. The 5th item is the Eagle Service Project Workbook, and that's what we're talking about. To get this workbook, you click on the first link and it'll go to a second page. And that second page has instructions on how to download it. Read the instructions. They have to download the workbook to a hard drive and open up the workbook in Adobe Acrobat Reader. Always open it in the latest version of Adobe Acrobat Reader. And the reason why is because there are links in the workbook, so that if the scout types in his name, for example, on the front cover, it puts his name on every page that's required, that has, he's supposed to put his name on. So those sorts of functions are in the workbook, but they don't work if you just open it up in a web browser. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And we get a lot of calls and a lot of questions about why the workbook doesn't work. And it's because they didn't follow the instructions. They have to download it to a hard drive and open it in Adobe Acrobat Reader for it to work. Probably a good time to go through the details of the service project process. All of the process, as I mentioned before, is in this service project workbook. And the very first section of that workbook is full of instructions, and again, you should read it cover to cover, and the scouts should read it, the workbook cover to cover, and read all of the instructions. The next major fill-in section is a proposal section. After the scout and the beneficiary have identified a project to do, the scout fills in the proposal section, and he puts enough information in there to be able to communicate to somebody, well, this is my proposed project. Any before pictures, this would be the time to take before pictures and include those. There's actually a place that you can put them in the workbook, or at least put them in your Eagle. He puts it in with his Eagle packet so that he can show it to the approver. We'll talk about what an Eagle packet is a little bit later. There is a fundraising application that is filled out if he's going to be doing fundraising for the project, and we'll talk more about that later. So he gets the proposal put together, he writes it up, and then somebody at the troop committee signs it. It can be you, it can be somebody else, and approves it. The scoutmaster reviews it and approves it. The beneficiary reviews it and approves it. And then the last person to review the proposal and approve it is somebody at the district level, and we call that the district approver. So you go to the district approver, and they will look at it, and they will sign off on the proposal. Once the proposal has been signed off, then the scout is free to start doing his project planning. The project planning section is the middle section. Now, scouts usually want to start execution right away without doing any planning, and that can be disastrous at times, so it's best if he has some kind of a plan. And he and the beneficiary get together and they do the project plan section. They lay out the project plan section. He works with the beneficiary because it's good for the beneficiary to know what the scout is doing and when he's going to do it. The responsibility for planning really is the scouts, though, not the beneficiaries. Nobody signs off on that middle section, and not all of that middle section needs to be filled in, just as much as needs to be filled in to get the project done. After the scout does his planning, there's the execution. He actually does the project and he gets it done. Once the project is finished, then there is a final report section of the project, of the workbook, and he fills out that final report section, which basically says what he did and how it went and how many hours they spent and things like that. Once that is filled in, the beneficiary signs it, and the scout signs it, and the Scout Master signs it, and then that ends the project. The project is done at that point. The final step in the whole Eagle process is the board of review, and as you saw in the process, once the project is finished and all the paperwork is done and written up, he can submit it then to the verifier, the Eagle packet verifier, and get a board review scheduled. So that's the service project process, and the whole process is explained more at our webpage, at the Eagle Scout webpage, and we'll talk more about individual items in this presentation. In this presentation and in the documentation, we talk about a project packet. Well, when we refer to a project packet or an Eagle packet, it goes by either term. What we're talking about is a 1-inch binder that everything having to do with his project and Eagle application and anything else that relates to what he's going to hand in to district and council is there. So we call that a project packet or an Eagle packet, and it's normally a 1-inch binder. At the very beginning, when you first start talking to the Scout and he first starts assembling documentation, he needs to get himself a 1-inch binder. He can decorate the front of it, personalize it for his own, this is my project binder. But he needs to start putting everything in there from the get-go. So everything keeps dry, clean, and nothing gets misplaced. Everything is in one place. There is a project guide for advisors, and it's down in, if you look at our web page again, down below all these things that the Eagle Scout needs, there's a line here that says notes for Eagle project approvers, unit leaders, and boards of review. And those are notes for you and for anybody else in your unit. Also, the parents might want to look at it, but it gives you an idea of what it takes and what the district is looking for to approve a project. So it helps you and the Scout know, well, okay, will this project work as an Eagle project? So take a look at that document. It's there for you and for your review. So what kind of a project works and what doesn't work? So looking again at the requirement, it says to plan, develop, and give leadership to others in a service project helpful to the community. Well, the community, as far as the Boy Scouts of America is concerned, local community is actually, the community is everywhere in the world, so it's pretty much unlimited. He can do a project to benefit a village in Uganda if he wants to. So it doesn't have to be local in his community. It has to be nonprofit. It's got to be for a not-for-profit organization, such as the United Way, Habitat for Humanity, the U.S. Forest Service. Government agencies work. Any church works. Communities can, like a parks district or something like that works. It even can be for a park that's owned by a company. Let's say a company owns a building and they have a public park in the front of their building that's open to the public, and it has some park benches there that need to be refurbished. That can be a valid Eagle project as long as the money and the effort is going towards that public space. That would work, even though the company may be a for-profit company. Originality. This is something that comes up all the time. A project can be anything that the Scout dreams up. Doesn't have to be something canned that we know about. But it can be something that somebody else has done. It doesn't have to be original. If somebody else did a a bridge over a trail as an Eagle project, another scout can do another bridge over a different trail as an Eagle project. So it doesn't have to be original. It doesn't have to be lasting. Collections are okay. It does have to satisfy leadership and things like that, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be a lasting thing. So the sky is pretty much the limit of what is the project, as long as as far as original. All right, let's look at finding a project and what kind of a project works and who has responsibility for planning and things like that. So the scout is responsible for planning and directing the project. It's not the parent's responsibility to plan or direct the project, and it's not your responsibility to plan or direct the project. If you start seeing a parent jumping in there and trying to get the project done because the scout has taken so long to get it working, or for any other reason, jump in there and let the parent know that if the parent does the project, if the parent ends up directing and planning the project, then the scout is not going to get credit for the project. The parent is taking that advancement requirement away from the scout, and the scout's not going to get Eagle. The scout's the one that needs to do the requirement, not the parent. Now, keep in mind there are no minimum hours for a project, and no one can tell the scout that there's minimum hours, and no one can hint to the scout that there are minimum hours. And no one can say, well, in our district we have 300 average hours per project. Isn't that interesting? Well, the scout's going to take that and interpret it as 300 hours is the minimum number of hours, and I have to have a project that has 300 hours. That's not the intent of the requirement. The intent of the requirement is that the scout show leadership and does a project for his community. If he does that, then he's going to get the hours. He's going to get the hours because of planning. He's going to get the hours because resources are going to be needed that he's directing that are going to use the hours. So he's going to get the hours. So don't focus on hours. Focus on leadership and planning. Routine labor is not normally appropriate for a project, and give you an example of routine labor would be pulling weeds at a school football field. So pulling weeds is something that the school does all the time. They hire out for someone to come in and pull weeds. It's routine labor. So that would not be appropriate for a project. Let's say a scout mows lawns, his neighbor's lawns, and he does that every week. And then all of a sudden now he's going to say, well, I want a project that I'm going to mow lawns of my neighbors because they really need mowing. Well, that's routine labor. It wouldn't be appropriate for an Eagle Scout project. Now keep in mind that what is routine labor for one scout may not be for another scout. If you live on a ranch, fixing fencing is very often routine labor. They go out and on a routine basis, they go out and they fix fencing on the ranch. For a scout to go out and fix fencing for the U.S. Forest Service, it may be a routine job for someone who's lived on a ranch, but it's definitely not a routine job for a city kid. He's probably never fixed a fence in his life. So for him, it would be a good project. How am I going to figure out how to fix a fence in this Forest Service grounds or Bureau of Land Management grounds? So he's going to have to do some planning. He's going to have to figure it out. He's going to solve a problem, and that makes for a good Eagle project. We talked about what's on this slide, which has to do with community, being a non-for-profit and a for-profit and a for-profit owning something outside. One of the other things on the slide, though, is that only one Eagle Scout candidate can get credit for a project. So there's no such thing as brothers working on a project and it's the same project and they both get credit for it. So it's just like one Eagle Scout gets credit for the project, one manager at a time. Now the projects can't be performed for the Boy Scouts of America, the councils, districts, the troop, or the properties that the BSA owns. So you can't do a project for Geronimo or the Herd Scout Pueblo, although both of those places need a lot of work. It's got to be for somebody outside of scouting. Now the project can be for the chartering organization as long as it's not directly helping the troop. So fixing up, painting rooms at a church would count as a project normally. A project can't be a fundraiser. You can't just collect money for a beneficiary. It's got to be something else. We are not fundraisers, and collecting money and just giving the money to the organization is not considered an Eagle project. Now there are some fundraising requirements. Fundraising may be needed for a project. We would rather that the Scout never doesn't fundraise at all, and that he just get donations of materials, and there's no fundraising involved at all. But if there is fundraising that's involved to buy food or to feed the people that are working or to buy materials, there are notes in your notes for Eagle project approvers, unit leaders, and boards of review that I pointed to. There is a whole section there on fundraising, and it would be good to read it and try to understand what are the parameters there. There is a fundraising application that is in the workbook that we mentioned earlier. That application is required if he is going to collect more than $500. If he's going to collect more than $500 for his project, even if it's car washes or whatever he's doing, he needs to fill out the fundraising application. If it is more than $500 cash from any individual, then that application has to go to council. Now there is a caveat there. If it's money coming from the chartered organization, parents, the beneficiary, or members of the unit, then that money, that more than $500, doesn't count, and doesn't have to have a fundraising application for that at all, let alone give it to the council. Here are some examples of projects: setting up a community study center for children who need a place to do homework, or preparing plans for and building a footbridge on a trail in a national forest, maybe establishing children's libraries. There is a guide with points of contact for the ideas for Eagle projects, and it's on our Eagle page. So something to look at. Okay, so it's good for the Scout to make a list of potential projects, meet with you, come up with ideas, do some brainstorming, and then once he has ideas, he should meet with the beneficiary group. He should call them. He needs to realize that he needs to call and call and call, because usually Eagle projects are not the first priority for these people. They've got other work that they're doing. So he shouldn't expect them to immediately call him back. So he may have to call them a few times. Once he gets a beneficiary to accept the proposal and they've come up with an idea, usually something that 10 people or so can do over a full Saturday, or over a weekend, or over 2 weekends, that makes a good project. Once they get the beneficiary accepts it, then they go ahead and he writes up the proposal section of the workbook, and the beneficiary signs it. And then we've been through who signs it already. Work without the district approval signing, district reviewer signing the project off and saying that it's fine. When the district reviewer looks at the project, they're looking at these 5 steps, 5 tests. And if these 5 tests are passed, then the project is approved. The first is that the project provides sufficient opportunity to meet the requirements. Well, what's the requirement? It's requirement 5 of the EAGLE requirements. So again, that was the very one of the first slides we looked at was requirements 5 of the EAGLE requirements, and that's the project, the due to project. So if the project will satisfy that, then he has passed the first test. Second test is the project appears feasible. The boy is not trying to build a house or build a ship or do something that's he's not going to succeed in doing. Any safety issues that are that he can think about and think of are addressed in the proposal, at least that he has thought about them and intends on addressing them. And then action steps for further detailed planning are included in the proposal. There's actually a section in the proposal section that says, hey, this is how I plan to plan. So I'm going to plan this first, then I'm going to plan this next, then I'm going to plan this next. So there's a plan to the plan that's there. And then the young man is on the right track to a reasonable chance for a positive experience. So in the opinion of the person, the reviewer, this will work. This project will work. And so that passes the 5th test, and that's the 5 tests that he has to pass. Again, in that guide, notes for EAGLE project approvers, unit leaders, and boards of review, we go through this in detail. And while the scout's doing all of this, setting up his proposal and all this stuff, and talking with all of these people, make sure the scout is keeping track of time. His hours, your hours, hours of anybody he's talking to, the hours spent planning, all those hours count. If he goes to a store like Home Depot to price things, the travel time to the store, travel time back from the store counts. Travel time to meetings and back from meetings and appointments with people for discussions, all of that counts. And he should keep track of his hours and other people's hours, and it's good to list their names and the number of hours or minutes that he talked to each person. And the reason why is at the end, when he does his final project report, he needs to give this information out, which is the number of workers, those are people that were involved with this project, and if they were registered youth members or people who were not registered, were they registered adult members or people who were not registered, and then total number of hours. So he needs the number of people of each of these categories and the total number of hours worked for each of these categories. And he's going to need that at the end. So he should be keeping track of it from the beginning. Trying to resurrect the hours at the end just is very time consuming, and he's not going to capture all of them. Okay, well, when we start talking about the project and the project proposal, then we start talking about district getting involved. So let's look at the district and council involvement with the Eagle Scout real briefly here. So the first time officially that the district gets involved is at the project proposal stage. We already talked about the fact that the proposal is reviewed by somebody at district, and they sign off on the proposal. And then you probably are aware that at the end the packet gets submitted to a person we call the district verifier, who looks at the packet, makes sure everything's there, and that person schedules a board of review. Well, we are introducing a new person now, and this person is the project coach. Now, the project coach doesn't replace you as a as an Eagle advisor. What the project coach does is right after the proposal is signed off by the district reviewer, the project coach gets in touch with the scout and offers assistance in helping to plan the project and filling out that section of the workbook, which is the planning section. They also help them pull together the final paperwork that has to go to the verifier. So this project coach is kind of a person that fills in at the district level between the proposal stage and this final paperwork stage. They, like I mentioned, they don't supplant you. They supplement, and they're a go-to person. They're like the district expert on projects. So it's a good person for you to talk to as well as the scout progresses through the project cycle of the whole Eagle to Life to Eagle cycle. Okay, so then the verifier gets handed the paperwork at the end after all the merit badges are done and everything, and then the verifier sets up a review, which is the Eagle Board of Review, and there's an Eagle Board that's run by a district person that reviews the scout's progress and signs him off to become an Eagle and signs off his Eagle rank. Then the application itself gets sent to council, and we have a person at council called a council certifier, and what she does is she looks at the application and enters it into the system so that National can review it and approve it. And then it goes to National, National approves it, and then a certificate is actually mailed to the scout, and that's how the scout knows that they've been approved. If anything is wrong, then either the council certifier will get in contact with the scout, or National will tell the council certifier to get in contact with the scout. But usually it's this person who would contact the scout if there's something wrong administratively with the paperwork. Takes about 6 weeks from the time the board meets, actually 6 weeks from the time the council certifier receives the application to the time the application is mailed and the scout receives it. If they don't receive it in 6 weeks, somebody should contact council and make sure that paperwork wasn't lost somewhere. Also realize that the district is available to answer questions. That should be your first point of contact. This project coach for the project issues, the verifier for any paperwork issues are probably your good points of contact at the district level. And it's best to engage with the district early and often. Touch base if you have questions about what proposals this guy or woman approves and which ones she has problems approving. I might give you a good idea at the very beginning when you're first starting out with the scout and putting together proposals. Okay, so this shows another slide of the difference between your position, which is the Eagle advisor, and this Eagle Service Project Coach, which we're introducing now this year. Again, you're the entire process, and you're responsible for mentoring the scout through the whole thing. They are pretty much responsible for making sure that life is a bit easier for you guys going through the project cycle. The focus of this guy or woman is purely requirement 5, the project stages. They are appointed by the council or the district, and they're around for a short period of time to help you and the scout through the project phase of the Life to Eagle project, or Life to Eagle cycle. Now, as I mentioned before, before he starts starting work on the project, as soon as the project's approved, the scout wants to start working on it right away. And planning is not something that's inherent in a teenage boy, so it's good to sit him down, get together with the Eagle project coach from the district level, get some coaching on planning
and planning the project. And that whole project plan section, the middle section of the workbook, the District Eagle project coach can add value to that. You can add value to that. But it's between him, the scout, and the beneficiary to plan that section. Those two people plan it, and the beneficiary should be in sync with what the scout's going to do and when he's going to do it, so there's no surprises. No one signs off on that section.
The project report is the final section of the workbook, and when the project's done, when the execution of the project is done, is usually when the final report is put together. So he meets with you, he meets with the project coach for some coaching on how to put together that final report, and then he fills out the boxes that are there in the workbook. Now, I'd like to say something about changes made during the project. If there are substantial changes that are going to be made for the project, they really need to be addressed before the changes are made. For example, and let me give you an example of a substantial change. Let's say the project was to do some trail work and fix a trail in South Mountain Park, and they decide partway through, the ranger says, hey, you know, instead of doing this trail work, what I'd like you to do is put a little garden in front of my ranger shack at South Mountain. Well, that's a substantial change. The project just changed. The scope went wild. You know, it's a brand new project. Something like that needs to be reviewed by the person who approved the proposal at the district level. So when changes like that are made, or there's a substantial reduction in effort of the project, those sort of changes need to be reviewed and cleared by the person who did the project approval at district originally. So you need to go back and then get something in writing, either an email or a letter or a note or something from that person that says, yes, we realize the changes were made in the proposal and they have been approved by the district, so that can be put in the Eagle packet and submitted with all the rest of the paperwork. The final report of the project has a number of different sections, and they're pretty intuitive. They're good to look at, by the way, at the very beginning. That's why I tell the scouts to read the workbook from cover to cover, because the final report is what the board of review is going to look at to judge whether or not the project was done appropriately. There are sections in there that want the scout to talk about his experience and what went well and what didn't go well and what lessons learned the scout had, because that's important. The whole thing is a learning process, and he needs to understand what went well, what didn't go well. If he had to do the whole thing all over again, what would he do? That sort of thing. This is the section of the workbook where they would want to see after photos and any other documentation that kind of came with the project. If the photos, some people have difficulty trying to put the photos in the workbook, where the workbook says, you know, insert your photos here. Just take the photos and put them in the Eagle packet so that the board of review has photos. Photos really help. Before and after photos, and during photos taken during the project itself. That's a good thing for the parents to do. You know, hand a camera to the parents and say, hey, take pictures before and after and during the project, and it gets the parents out of the hair of the scout, so the scout can lead the project. So the scout signs and dates the project, like we've said before, in the final plan, and then Scoutmaster signs it, the beneficiary signs it, and that indicates that the project is complete. So the project workbook should be kept with the Eagle packet until the rest of the merit badges are done. And when the rest of the merit badges are done, that's and the position of responsibility is done. When all of that is done, that's the time to finish up the paperwork. Now, finishing up the paperwork is where you can really add value here, because we want to make sure everything is in the packet and he's ready to go for the project approver or the verifier at the end. You don't want to have him submitting a packet and then having it bounce back a number of times because things are missing. So the files 1 to 7 he has to do, and this slide shows what files are left to get into the packet. One is this electronic Eagle requirement checker, and it's an Excel file, and it's an Excel workbook. You download the file and you save it on your hard drive. Don't try to open it in a browser. Don't try to open it in Google Docs. It's not going to work. It's got to be saved to a hard drive and opened in Microsoft Excel. It is only supported in Microsoft Excel. No other software is supported with this checker. And now the checker is really convenient because it's going to tell you if there's any problems with any of the dates that he's going to put in the application. So what he wants to do is he wants to download this Excel workbook, and then he wants to also go to the person in your unit who is responsible for advancement and purchases the merit badges and the rank badges from the Scout Shop. That person has access to Internet Advancement, and they enter into Internet Advancement the ranks as the boys progress. In Internet Advancement, which is a software product, in Internet Advancement, where they enter the boys' dates for new ranks, in the upper left corner is a thing called the Member Summary Report. And they click on the button that says Member Summary Report, and they click on the Scout's name, and it'll give them a PDF file of all of the history, advancement history of the Scout that is recorded at National. Now, we don't want Troop Master reports, we don't want Scout Book reports, we don't want Trail to Eagle reports. We want the report from Internet Advancement. Very important. This is the only real official data that's out there. So we want the report coming from the national database of what is recorded as far as dates for the Scout. We'll go through more of what that report actually looks like, but he wants that report, and that's going to help him fill in this electronic Eagle requirement checkers candidate data tab. And in the candidate data tab, it's going to ask him for the name that he wants on his certificate. It's going to ask him for all the merit badges that he wants recorded on the application and the dates that he earned those merit badges. And those all come out of the member summary report. It's going to ask for a member ID. The member ID is on the member summary report. It's going to ask in this Eagle checker for the dates that he became first class tenderfoot life. And those are all on the member summary report. So that's why you want this report. It helps you and the Scout fill out the electronic Eagle requirement checker. It also helps the district verifier verify the dates and everything, because when it comes out of there, it's official. We know the Scout's registered because you couldn't even get the report if the Scout wasn't registered. We know his member ID. We know when he did all of his ranks and merit badges and that they've been recorded. There's nothing more official than that report. So there's no question the Scout earned all that stuff if it spits out on that report. So that report is important for you guys to fill out the electronic Eagle requirement checker, and it's important to include in the packet so the verifier verifies the Scout rank information. After you fill out the electronic Eagle requirement checker tab, it's going to tell you right then as he's filling it out if everything he's entering is okay. It'll tell you if there's an issue with the date right away. There are other tabs, the next tabs over, that do even more checking and tell you if there are issues with dates or positions of responsibility or something like that. And this is when you want to catch them. You want to catch them now before you submit the paperwork, because you don't want the paperwork going back and forth. So if there's any issues with dates or anything, you guys can correct them before you submit the final official application with all the official paperwork. But you will include the electronic Eagle requirement checker with your official packet. The other thing they want is when you have that all done and everything's clean on that electronic Eagle requirement checker, they would like you to include in the packet either a CD of this file or a USB drive of this file, and include that in the packet that you hand in the district. You'll get the CD back, you'll get the USB stick back, but if they need to make a change, they can open it up and make a change. The other file you need is the official Eagle Scout rank application, and this is the number of it and everything. This is a PDF file, and as everybody should be used to at this point, it has to be downloaded to a hard drive and it has to be opened up in Adobe Reader. It doesn't work if you don't do that. It is another fillable form, and it also has fields in it that won't work if you don't download it to a hard drive and open it up in Adobe Reader. So we get a lot of calls on this one too, that hey, it's not working right, I can't get the name to fit in the field boxes or anything, and it's because they haven't downloaded it to a hard drive and opened it with Adobe Reader. So you got to do that. Requirement 7 is a Word template, one-page Word template that asks 3 questions. One is, what are the Scouts' life ambitions? And the life ambitions are, do I want to be a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, something like that? What does he want to do? And then another question that's asked is, what is the Scout's life purpose? And that is, how does he want to be known? Does he want to be known as a good citizen, a good father? You know, what is the meaning of life for him? What is his purpose in life? And then the third question they ask is a list of activities that he has done that shows leadership outside of scouting. And it's just whatever he comes up with. Some scouts can list a whole bunch of things, and some scouts can only list a few things. It's a one-page document. It should only take the scout 5 minutes to fill out. If he's taking longer than 5 minutes, he's spending too much time trying to fill this thing out. And then finally, a reference letter form. This is also a Word document. It's got 6 reference letters in it. He prints it out and he gives them to the people that he wants to give as references for him. And it's just a form that the people can fill out. It takes all of 2 minutes for someone to fill it out. A real quick form, checkbox type thing. And then you want to talk to the scout about the Eagle Board process. If you don't know about the Eagle Board process and how that works, you can talk to somebody at the district level. And they can give you an insight into that. If you have a Eagle Project Coach assigned to you, that Eagle Project Coach will also talk about the Eagle Board review process. Usually the district verifier knows about the review process and can tell you guys about it. That when all the paperwork is handed into the Eagle verifier, that person will assign the scout to a board review and give them a schedule for when it's going to be, and we'll let the scout know, how to dress. He's got to be in Class A uniform, and he should bring his Boy Scout handbook, because then the board will sign it. things like that. And you should give the contact information of the Eagle Scout verifier to the scout. The scout's the person who's supposed to contact that person and hand in his packet. A little bit more on the recommendation letters. These are the 6 recommendation letters that are required. A parent, an educator, 2 other adult references, a religious person. If he doesn't go to church, it would be the scout's parents. And then if he's employed, an employer reference. This is what that Internet Advancement Member Summary Report looks like. As you can see, it has all kinds of information about the badges that he's earned and when he's earned them. The ones that have asterisks on them are Eagle required badges. It gives you his member ID. Well, that's needed for the application, and the unit that he's currently registered in. So notice this scout is registered in Crew 2014. So his position of responsibility would not be a senior patrol leader. Probably it would be a president or something like that, a position that would be in the crew. It gives ranks when he earned those ranks. If it was a troop that he was registered in, it would also show the lower ranks as well as the upper ranks here. So after getting all that stuff together, the paperwork is done. It's all now in the packet, and it can be submitted to the Eagle verifier, who looks at the packet and makes sure everything's there and there are no errors. If there are any errors, they'll come back and talk to the scout about it. It's a good idea that in the packet that the scout has included photocopies of the merit badges and rank advancement cards. Not required, just a good idea. Anything that would help. Most common errors that we find throughout the council, there's registration issues. The boy is registered in a different unit than what is being said on the application, or not registered at all. And that Internet Advancement Report tells us how he's registered. You can't even get it if he's not registered. So that would solve this registration issue for you. Signatures and dates are wrong. The dates on the application when he made a life and made star, maybe there wasn't 6 months between star and life. Things like that are wrong. Letters of recommendation, there's letters missing. Leadership rules are wrong. We talked about that if he was in a crew, he should be a president, not a senior patrol leader. Requirement 7 is missing, not including the Excel file to help with checking, and merit badges being off. Those are common errors. So the district verifier will inform the scout of when the schedule board of review is, and they'll work out making sure that the boy is at a board of review or knows when a board of review is available. A lot of districts hold regularly scheduled board of reviews the 4th Tuesday of the month or something like that, so that you can find out if it's going to be a regularly scheduled board. Okay, a little bit on the board of review. Who can sit on a board of review? Normally it's 3 people are sitting on the board of review. They're normally 3 district people who the scout doesn't know. People who can't sit on the board of review, the members of the family can't sit on the board of review, and relatives cannot sit on the board of review. The scoutmaster technically cannot sit on a board of review. He can be in the room as a observer. He just has to be quiet. The boards of review should take approximately 30 minutes and no more than 45 minutes. They are not intended to be inquisitions, and not intended to be a retest of what the scout has already been tested on and passed when he passed his merit badges and ranks to go through. It's not supposed to be an interrogation. The review members, there's normally 3 that sit on the board, have to have a unanimous recommendation for the scout to advance, for him to get his eagle. Note that even if they do vote for him to advance, he is not officially advanced to Eagle until National approves the application. So until in that progression it gets to National and National replies back that he has approved the application, is the boy is not officially Eagle. However, when he is approved, the certificate and all paperwork coming back will have the date of the Board of Review as his Eagle date. That will be his official Eagle date. So we talked about the fact that it goes to the council, and the council sends it to National. It takes about 6 weeks. So that's what this slide is saying. Don't schedule an Eagle Court of Honor until you hear back from National. If paperwork gets misplaced and we have to resurrect the paperwork and it has to go through, it could take longer than 6 weeks, so we don't want anybody flying in from back east to a court of honor just to be told the scout can't get his medal because he doesn't have proof that he has been approved by National. And until he's approved by National, he cannot get any insignia from the scout shop that shows he's an Eagle Scout. Remember, this is a national award, so the National Board is the group that actually awards it. Appeals. If for some reason the Board of Review denies the rank advancement, we don't have redos. We don't have them go back to the board. Instead, there is an appeal process, and in short, the appeal process is the scout or his parent notifies the local council that they want an appeal. All right, and then my committee at the council level will arrange for an appeals committee to form, and we will look specifically at why he was denied at the district level, and we will then make a judgment call to either overrule the district and on that point, or not. If we overrule the district, then the paperwork goes through the council level and he gets approved through National. If we support the district decision not to advance him, then the parent or guardian can appeal it above us to National, and then all the information goes to National, and National makes the final decision one way or another. And that's the appeal process. Everything is detailed in this section in the Guide to Advancement on appealing a decision. If you ever get into that area, feel free. I'll show you an email at the end of this presentation. Feel free to email me, tell me the situation, and I'll work you through it. So to sum up, advancement is based on experimental learning. Remember that everything we do in scouting is education, and it's teaching the boy something. Even the whole Eagle Scout process. So he's learning through this whole thing. It's the first time he's probably ever done a project. It's probably the first time he's ever done this kind of paperwork, and to get through all of this. So it's a big deal for him. He learns an awful lot from the process. We've been doing it for decades, and the scouts always have an educational experience out of the whole process. So that's the point of the Eagle process, is to, again, going back to the first slides, we are trying to teach the boys to be good men, and we're trying to teach them how to do something like this. The process looks daunting, and at the beginning, when he first sees everything that he needs to do, it looks very daunting. But if you take it step by step, it's really not that bad. And again, if you look at go back and look at the first class rank requirements, it's pages and pages of requirements. It looks daunting too, but the scout got through first class. He got through first class, he'll get through Eagle. So some guidance for you as an advisor, some resources for you. Your best resource is the Eagle Scout page. Go there, read everything that's on there, watch the videos, get yourself informed about that process, because you're the kind of the font of information on that process for your unit. We do have advancement videos in the advancement process section of our advancement page. So if you go to the Eagle Scout page, over to the left you'll see a link for advancement processes. If you click on that, at the bottom of the page is the videos. And we have videos on how to approve projects, on boards of review, on all kinds of stuff related to your area. The Guide to Advancement is the source for all official BSA policies and processes for advancement. So it is the definitive source. If I ever have a question to me that I can't answer, the first place I go is the Guide to Advancement. The Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook is your go-to source for instructions on how to do an Eagle project. That book has 99% of the stuff you need to know on how to do an Eagle project. So it's there. That's why we want you and the Scout to read it, and read it cover to cover. And then there's some miscellaneous things here. The Boy Scout Requirements book has all the requirements for all the badges and things in it, and ranks. The Guide to Safe Scouting can come in handy for, is it safe for a boy 16 to use a spray painter, or a power washer or something like that. The Guide to Safe Scouting will give you direction on that, what kind of tools they can use and what kind of tools they would rather have adults use. There is a section called Age Guidelines for Tool Use and Work at Elevations or Excavations, which could be something to reference for certain projects. All of that is at scouting.org in the Safe Scouting section. So this is our last slide. If you have questions, don't wait. Ask the question. We would rather have you ask a question and have us give you the answer rather than the project get done, the paperwork get handed in, and something's wrong. It's a lot easier to ask up front and find out the best way to do something rather than wait. This is the email to my committee. Feel free to email any questions having to do with advancement to this email address, and we usually try to respond within a couple of days and give you the answer that we have. If we don't have the answer, we'll go to National and get it. Well, that's the end of our presentation. Have a great evening, and we will see you on the scouting trail.